Hi, I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring. And today I'm recording on a Wobbical land. Now, this episode in particular that you're listening to is coming out during the Chrissy/holiday break. And some podcasts take a break during the Christmas break, but there's no break for me when it comes to big business. I'm coming out with these episodes, but I thought I would mention I'm recording these from home and the quality may not be exactly the same as when I'm in the studio, but hopefully it will do. For today's episode, I'm going to be running you through how we run and operate our businesses through the Christmas period. Now, before I got into business, this was something that I never really thought about. And same when I opened our very first physical FAYT store in Newcastle in 2019. We actually opened that in December. But it had never crossed my mind that when we are opening businesses, we are making a commitment to kind of running our business all the time. And I guess I go back to thinking, you know, when I worked in my full-time jobs, and for those of you that don't know, like the last jobs that I had before I became my own boss and self-employed was working, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And I guess when you're an employee, you just think, oh yeah, like if you work a traditional 9 to 5 job, oh, sorry, I just whacked the microphone. When you work a traditional job, it's just like natural to have time off over Christmas. I know it's completely different if you're in hospitality and retail and everything else, but I guess I went from working full-time to then becoming self-employed. And when I opened our first store, or even just when I started FAYT, I never thought, wait a second, at one point, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to run our business through Christmas time because business never stops. So how does it look for us? What happens with FAYT and our cafe during Christmas time? We've got so many different elements of our business, and I guess the way that we operate through Christmas has chopped and changed over the years, but I can give you a run through of what we're doing this year and what we've done in previous years. So ever since FAYT has existed for 2 weeks over the Christmas and New Year period, all of our full-time warehouse and office staff, which for a very long time we only had full-time employees in both of those areas of our business. So for the history of FAYT, our full-timers, office and warehouse all have 2 weeks off. This is not forced leave. We've never done forced leave at FAYT. That's actually something I don't know anything about. Like I don't know how that works, but I've heard about it. But yeah, forever and ever and ever, everyone at the office and warehouse has always had 2 weeks off at Christmas. And that has always, and we're happy with that, but it's always left to AJ and I to do everything in those 2 weeks. And so for the last however many years, AJ and I have always had a pretty hectic 2 weeks around Christmas and New Year's because everyone's off and we've still got to keep the thing going. And by that, I mean we have to pick all the orders, pack all the orders, get the orders out, and also do the customer service because our customer service team are also like full-time in the office. But things are changing this year. We made the decision this year to hire casual warehouse employees. So throughout the year, we've had a few casual members join our team. In saying that, a lot of them are working like so many hours. But we've had some casuals join and we've just had a few more join towards the very end of the year, almost like a Christmas casual. And now we've kind of got some people that are going to be working throughout that 2 week period, which means AJ and I won't feel as pressured to be the only two to kind of keep everything going throughout that 2 week period. In saying that, and I mean, I don't have to go into the exact details of what days our warehouse is open and closed, but just with like Christmas Day and all of the public holidays that surround it and New Year's Day and everything, I think there's like almost 5 days or something where no one is at the warehouse and no orders are going to get packed, which I think is fine because in my mind, I think from my standpoint as a consumer, if I'm ordering something on New Year's Eve or like a day before New Year's Eve, I'm definitely not expecting my order to get shipped immediately kind of thing. So there is going to be like 5 days or something like that, like 5 working weekdays, like not including weekends, where no orders are getting packed. And I think this is the first time we've ever done that, obviously, in the history of FAYT. In saying that as well, AJ and I can go in if need be because we're not going anywhere. And we'll just do like a bit of a call out to our community just to say during this date and this date, like it's going to be minimal people at FAYT, so none of your orders will be getting shipped during that time. And then, yeah, it's quite literally that. There's just a few days where the warehouse is shut and then everyone kind of comes back in bits and bobs. But the full-timers, I believe, are all taking 2 weeks off. I don't know, because we don't set their leave. Like everyone's got different random days off. And then we've obviously got the other side of our business as well, which is our physical retail stores. And then we have our cafe in Newcastle, which is called Outdo. I've done a whole episode on our cafe if you want to hear about it and hear the whole story of how we came to build and open this cafe if you didn't know already. But it's called Outdo Espresso. And our cafe is right next door to our FAYT store in Newcastle. So they're like neighbors. So that's a run through of our office and warehouse. Everyone's off for 2 weeks, but then there's like 5 days where absolutely no one's there. And then we've got some casuals as well that are going to kind of be filling in the gaps in those 2 weeks. And during that time as well, I'll just be overseeing and monitoring and doing our customer service emails while our customer happiness team are off. And that's so fine because I can just honestly sit at home on my back deck with the laptop writing back to everyone's emails that come through every day. And then we've obviously got our retail stores. Now, when you're opening a physical business, you really are opening yourself to being open during, holiday periods, especially in Westfield centres and also in hospitality. So our cafe, for example. The good thing about our boutique FAYT stores, so our boutique FAYT stores are Newcastle, Parramatta and Hawthorn in Victoria. The good thing about those, and there's so many like pros and cons to having a boutique as opposed to like a shopping centre store. But one of the biggest pros is you can pick and choose what days you're open and what days you're closed. And one of the cons of having Westfield stores, so we have 2 Westfield stores for FAYT. One is Westfield Chermside in Brisbane and the other is Westfield Miranda in Sydney. The con of being in Westfield is you have to open when they're open. And shopping centres basically never shut. I think there's, 2 or 3 days a year or something that they're shut. It's something really small. And I remember when we first ventured into our Westfield Miranda store, because that was our second store and we'd only ever had our Newcastle boutique. I remember being like, holy shit, like we're going to be open basically every single day. So our boutique stores for FAYT are super flexible. We pretty much stay open throughout the holiday period, and it's especially great because a lot of people travel at Christmas time, and I've found over the years that FAYT has become a bit of a destination for people that are on holidays, and especially, here in Newcastle, we keep our cafe and our Newcastle boutique open because people will be traveling to Newcastle for Christmas to visit the family or whatever, and they'll go, oh, we'll go to FAYT and Outdo. So we definitely try to keep open as many days as we can. But with the boutiques, there are a few days that they're closed. And again, I don't need to run you through our opening and closing days in particular. That's not what this pod episode is about. You can find all our hours on Google if you really want to know. And then the Westfield stores are basically open the whole time. They're shut Christmas Day and they're shut New Year's Day, I think they're open. I don't know. Don't quote me. But the Westfield stores are open the most out of everything. On the back end, with all of our full-time staff at HQ going off, because a lot of our full-time HQ staff support our retail stores, from our head office. On our end, that just means we need to be super organised in the lead up to the Christmas period. We have to make sure that all of the rosters are done well in advance so that everyone knows exactly when they're working. And we just have to make sure that all the store managers are prepared for the 2 weeks that our head office support is going to be off. And bless, every year, Grace, who is our national retail manager, she's based here in Newcastle, works in our head office. She oversees all of our stores. And every year when she's going to have the 2 weeks off, she's the kind of person that's like, now you can message me if you need anything. I'm just going to be sitting at home doing nothing anyway. And I've said to her this year, I say it to her every year, but I said, you are not to do that this year. And instead, because when my staff go on leave, I'm like, you are on leave. Like, do not talk to me. Do not talk to anyone. Like, I would feel terrible to know that someone was answering to someone, unless it was like some type of emergency, of course. But I've said to Grace, you make sure you tell all of your store managers that they need to contact AJ and I before they think of contacting you. And she's like, okay. And she sent out an email literally the other day, and she included me in on it. And she's like, all right, everyone, make sure if you have any questions during this 2-week period, contact Britt and AJ. But it all comes down to having great managers in place as well. So all of our stores have a store manager, and then they have an assistant store manager, and they run their stores. And Grace is quite literally there to guide them, train them, help them, give them anything they need. But our stores are really self-sufficient because of the strong managers and the strong teams that we have in place. The last thing we would want to be doing is opening more and more retail stores and not having strong teams. Like, having a strong team and strong managers in that store to run it day to day. And especially if we go away, not that we ever go away, but it's just vital because we can feel comfortable in knowing that Grace, who is the national retail manager, can take 2 weeks off at Christmas time if she wants to take some annual leave, and they're not going to be like, oh my God, what are we going to do without Grace? Because they're such strong teams. And AJ and I, of course, are always on call at any given moment for anything, no matter what it is. And AJ and I aren't going anywhere over the Christmas period. We're just staying here in Newcastle. We're actually hosting Christmas at our house for AJ's family for the first time ever this year, which is super exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're not going on any holidays or anything. We're just going to have a nice Christmas at home, which I'm really looking forward to. And that's a bit of a rundown on how we run our business. It's always a bit of figuring out on the back end. And I'm really excited that we have casual team members in our warehouse now, because it's not going to be just 2 solid weeks of no one being there. I think there's like that 5 days where no one's there, which is quite literally over Christmas Day and New Year's. And I'll feel a bit better just knowing that there's going to be some people there scattered before all the full-timers come back. And another thing that we're doing this time around, because last year we really fucked ourselves over. So we're doing our Boxing Day sale in all of our stores on Boxing Day, so on the 26th, but we're doing our online one early this year, which we have never done. Like, we've always done our Boxing Day sale for FAYT on the 26th, but obviously last year, we've done it every year. We do it on the 26th, and that's when all the staff were off. And because we had no warehouse casuals last year, AJ and I just were like, fuck, because we had thousands of orders to pack, like from the day after Christmas. And so we were just in that warehouse every day, just the two of us. And I just remember saying to AJ this time last year, we are never doing this again. We are never, because with 2 people and you're packing so many orders, it's never ending. It's days and days and days and weeks. So yeah, we've come up with a bit more of a strategic plan this year, and the online FAYT Boxing Day sale is going to be a little bit earlier when everyone's still at work, so that, it can be a team effort of smashing out those Boxing Day orders online, and then we'll still do our Boxing Day sale in stores, because it's fun, for people to be able to come in and shop Boxing Day with their Chrissy money. But anyway, that's a little run through of our game plan for the Christmas period. And I always say this, but before I started a business, I never thought about, how am I going to operate this thing through holiday periods? Because I was just so in the mentality of working a regular job, and like if you're working full time, having 2 weeks off at Christmas kind of thing. It's just one of those things that I never thought of. And now every year, like a month out, we're like, all right, what's our plan of attack? What days are all the FAYT boutiques opening? What days are we going to outdo our cafe? And like outdo heavily relies on when FAYT's open as well. We want them both to be open at the same time so people can get a coffee and shop at the same time. And then what are we doing with the warehouse? And we need more casuals, blah, blah, blah. I'll be doing the emails. Like, it's a thing every year, and it's just one of those parts of business that you don't really think about when you're going into it. And if you're at the start of your business journey, just remember this, remember me talking about this. One day you might have to sacrifice having time off over Christmas, because let me tell you, I have sacrificed that for every year so far at FAYT. But I'm hoping that AJ and I are at least going to have like that 5 days off where everyone's off over the public holidays and stuff, so that we can relax, enjoy our new house, enjoy all the hard work that we've done this year, as well as celebrating all the hard work that our entire company has done this year. And that's a little look into our holiday period. I'm not exactly sure when this episode is coming out, but if it hasn't been Christmas yet, I hope you all have a good one and a safe and happy new year. And I'm excited to continue this big business pod in 2025. I bloody love talking about this stuff.